Hello, I'm Madeline MacNeil, and this is a video accompanying the Mel Bay book, You Can Teach Yourself Dulcimer. So the first thing is to look at the various dulcimers that you're playing and that I'm playing. The instrument is, this one is an hourglass-shaped instrument. You might have what is known as a teardrop shape, where it is a narrow top and a wider bottom. Some instruments are boat-shaped instruments, but they're all dulcimers. Now, to explore the instrument a little bit, as you can see, I'm playing it with the peg head to my left and what is known as a strum hollow to my right. And the way the instrument is sitting on my lap, it's not placed straight on, because as you play, you have to back away from the instrument. So it should be tilted a little bit, so this area is over your left knee. Now, keeping the instrument on your lap, there are various ways to do that. Three of them, one of three, would be to have a strap on the instrument, have a pin here, and the strap holding the instrument in place. Another way is to have a lap cloth, and this would be some material that would keep something from slipping in your house. And another way is to keep your feet raised on some little platform or a book or two, and that will keep the instrument from slipping. We're going to tune the dulcimer and begin by talking about the various tuning pegs on instruments. These are geared tuners. Even the geared tuners have different shapes and different colors. Other tuners on the dulcimer are the friction pegs, the wooden friction pegs. And sometimes, to go along with that, with the friction pegs, at the far right of the instrument, there'll be fine tuners. The friction pegs tune up a little slower than the mechanical tuners, it's easier to get past the note that you want, and the fine tuners will help adjust that. But these are mechanical tuners, and to begin with, we're going to use one of several tunings on the dulcimer. Oftentimes, the D, a D below middle C, is on the pitch of the bass string. The bass string is the farthest one from you. So if you tune your dulcimer to this pitch, if you have a piano, look for D below middle C, and this is the note. Right, we're going to tune the other two strings on this dulcimer. Perhaps you have three strings on your dulcimer, with two of them being very close together. But however many other strings you have after the bass string, we'll tune the other strings to A. This A is also just below middle C. Now, if you need some help getting that note, if you put a finger on the bass string at the 4th fret, that will give you the sound of the other strings. And that's another way to get the sound. You pluck the bass string and the middle string. It will sound like the beginning of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So, we can wait for you to tune your instrument, and then we'll begin to play. We're going to explore some strings and some notes on the dulcimer, beginning with the bass string. This is a large string, the farthest one from you. The string in the middle, we tune that to A. And the string or strings closest to you, we also tune that to A. We'll call that the melody string or strings. So we have bass, middle, melody strings. Now, because we call the melody string a melody string, seems that's the only place you can play a tune, and that's not so. You can play a tune anywhere you want to. So for now, go to the bass string and put your fingers on the string and just pluck a note. I'm here at the 5th fret on the dulcimer, and that brings up the subject of frets. These metal devices going across a board we call the fretboard. They're called frets, and this is how you find your way along the instrument. So the 5th fret would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm on the bass string, the big string, the farthest one from you, at the 5th fret. I'm just a little to the left of it, and you can see almost a little space in between my finger and the fret. I'm not in the middle of the space or over here, but very close to the fret. And just pluck the string with your right hand. Now do the same thing with the middle string. Put your finger close to the 5th fret and pluck the string. Different sound. And then if you go to the melody string, 5th fret also, pluck the string. It's going to be the same pitch you got on the middle string. Now, the frets on the dulcimer are different sizes. The spaces in between the fret spaces, your melody notes, harmony notes are all in these spaces. Now, if you look at the instrument and compare it with the guitar, you're going to find that the spacing on the mountain dulcimer is considerably different from a guitar, mandolin. The spacing, you have big spaces and small spaces. Actually, where the spaces are big, you have skipped a note. And this makes it easier to play in the long run, even though those notes are skipped, because you've played a little melody and you don't have to worry about some little notes that were in between there. But on the mountain dulcimer, there is a variation in the instruments. Look at the center of the fretboard, the center between left and right, and you'll find either 3 or 4 frets right here together. I have 4 frets and 3 fret spaces in there. This one in the middle is an extra fret. Now, we're going to start counting frets, and I'll show you how that is an extra fret. Let's count from the far left of the instrument. 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Now, I want to begin here at the 3rd fret, and I'm going to play from the 3rd fret to the 10th fret, and I will have a do, re, mi scale. If you were watching carefully, you'll notice that I skipped this one in the middle here. I'm going to number. We started at the 3rd fret. 1, 2, 3. Listen. 3, 4, 5, 6. That extra one. 7, 8, 9, 10. We call that a 6.5 fret. Sometimes it's called a 6+ fret. Now, in most of the music in this book, the 6.5 fret is not used, and if it is, we have another way for you to play the tune in case your instrument does not have that 6.5 fret. Many dulcimers these days are built with that extra fret in there, so I hope that won't confuse you. Now, here, beginning again on the melody string, I'm going to play to the 10th fret. This will be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and I'm going to skip that extra fret. You want to play along? Count you in. 1, 2, ready, play. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I said we call this a melody string, and yet you can play on the middle string. We did the same thing, starting at the 3rd fret. On the middle string, skipping that extra fret, we'd get the same do, re, mi. Now the bass string is a different pitch from the middle and melody strings, so to get that do, re, mi scale, we'd have to start in a different place. Actually, you would begin on what we call the open string. an open string as opposed to a fretted string. So the open string, there's no left hand there at all. A fretted string, here I am at the first fret. So you could get the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale here, but this time I'm going to need the 6.5 fret. Now let's explore the frets a little bit just by plucking on the string. I'm going to do on the bass string, I'll count you in, and we will play 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. Try this, just moving, sliding your fingers along. Ready? 1, 2, ready, play. 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. If we add in a couple of extra notes, have a little tune in there. Let's move to the melody string now. And put your finger at the 5th fret. I'll count you in. We're going to play 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. All right. 1, 2, ready, play. Now, you're probably looking at your instrument, trying to discover where all the frets are, and eventually you should play so you kind of know instinctively where all the frets are, or can look quickly at them. So, if you look at the instrument for a moment, look, this space here by the 3rd fret is a small one. 1 and 2 are large, 4 and 5 are large, and here we have that section in the middle that may look like this dulcimer or slightly different. But at any rate, I have 3 small spaces here, and larger spaces, and a small one. You can learn where the frets are on the dulcimer, the 3rd fret, the 5th fret, and which string by a little exercise. Say, if you look away from the dulcimer, decide you're going to play the 3rd fret on the bass string, look down, look for the small space, and pluck the string. Then perhaps the next one will be the 5th fret on the melody string, look down, look for a large space next to a small one. This is a way you can practice learning where the frets are so you don't have to look at the instrument so much. We've been concentrating on the left hand with the frets, finding notes there. Now we're going to look at the right hand and the pick and a strum. Now, there are 2 ways of strumming the dulcimer. When you see many players, it depends on sometimes the part of the country you're visiting. Some people will have a primary strum away from them, probably most of us, particularly if you play the guitar or mandolin and another instrument that you are accustomed to that strum. Sometimes in North Carolina and some other places, traditionally, the primary strum was toward you. So, both are all right, but I'm going to be working with an away from you strum as a primary strum. Now, if you were watching my right hand, you'll notice the strumming on the body of the instrument rather than in this area to the far right called the strum hollow. If I strum over here, I get a different sound. It's kind of a crunchier sound, but I'm also having my shoulder sort of dangling out here in mid-air. In reality, a good place to strum the instrument is where your right hand would fall if you naturally dropped it down on the instrument. I'd like for you to strum with me across the open strings. Again, this means your left hand is not playing any notes. Now, I'll give you a count in and just move your pick across the strings. And then we'll talk a little bit when we finish. 1, 2, ready, play. 1. Now, as you're strumming the strings, notice your hand. Are you gripping the pick? If you are, your arm is going to get awfully tired after a bit. Hold the pick loosely in your hand so you have some control over it. It's not quite ready to fall out. Now, if you're strumming straight across the strings, again, you've got a lot of shoulder work in there that you could ease up a little bit by angling a little bit. We're going to play the tune, Are You Sleeping? But something changes in here from the way you've been strumming. First of all, you have to include your left hand so we can have some notes in there rather than open strings. But an important thing, you know the tune, Morning Bells Are Ringing. You have a lot of strums in there, and you can't strum all in the same direction. Morning bells are ringing, because it sounds choppy. So what you do in the notes that are moving a little quickly, these are eighth notes, you have your primary strum, which is away, and a strum toward you. So in morning bells are ringing, morning bells are ringing. Now in the tune, I'd like for you to play it with me, and we're going to begin on the 3rd fret of the melody string. I'll count you in, and in the very beginning, you'll notice I'm sliding my hand. I could also walk it, walking the fingers. You notice it's just one strum per note. Try this with me. I'll count you in. 1, 2, ready, play. Stop. Here's that part. Boil That Cabbage Down is a wonderful old tune, and it gives us a good opportunity to practice strumming, to practice moving your left hand up and down the strings, the melody string, and also a practice for the primary strum and the ones where we're going to fill in a little bit. Can we do this? Walk, 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 running, 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 walk. That might give you an idea more of this reverse strum. We're going to have a strum for Boil That Cabbage Down, which is going to be walk, running, walk, running. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Right? That's the strum. Find the 5th fret. Again, it's a couple up from a small space and one to the left of a small space. You find the 5th fret, the whole tune goes 5th to the 6th, back to the 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3. No jumps, only uses 4 frets in the whole tune. Let's play it. 1, 2, ready, play. 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, and stop. Now, that same sequence, if we move it up to the 7th fret, you could have a friend play a little harmony with you, either on another dulcimer or a flute or piano. The melody is la, 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 la. But I'm going to play up beginning at the 7th fret. So this gives you a chance to work a little higher on the instrument. Find the 7th fret to begin with. And the strumming pattern is the same. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. I'll sing the melody, play the harmony with it. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. La, 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 Stop. That whole tune was just 2 frets higher on the dulcimer. Remember, there's some nice harmonies you can find there, but not only on the melody string. Now this time I had to sing along to play the harmony, but you can do some melody and harmony yourself by playing the melody string and the bass string. Now, here's a way we could play this. Put your thumb on the 5th fret of the melody string and your index finger on the bass string at the 4th fret. So you've got a space in between there, a fret in between. 5 on the melody string, 4 on the bass. So you're playing the melody with your thumb, and your index finger is going to come along for the ride, and you'll have a nice harmony for Boil That Cabbage Down. 1, 2, ready, play. There's another harmony found on the middle string. And this time you have to use your ring finger or your little finger, anything except your index finger, and the melody and the harmony are going to be 2 frets apart. Let's set it up to begin with. Put your thumb on the 5th fret, melody string, your ring finger on the middle string at the 3rd fret. So now you've got 5 on the melody, 3 on the middle string. And again, the middle string is going to follow the melody. Whenever the melody goes up, then the middle string goes with it. If it goes down, it follows along. But there's one thing. We will not have a good sound if we end with the middle string covered, fretted somewhere. So at the very end, you're just going to play the melody string. Remember that, and we can play Boil That Cabbage Down together. Here's the count. 1, 2, ready, play. Melody string only, and stop. Now if you look at the music, the way we've been playing, 5, 6, 5, 4, we have a way of writing tablature for mountain dulcimer, which is just a picture of your strings. Look at Boil That Cabbage Down again, and you'll see where we played just the melody. And on that bottom line, which would be your melody string, we have the numbers, 5, 6, 5, 4, and so forth. On the other lines, representing the bass string and the middle string, there are zeros, and that means the open string. Now when we played the harmony, you might find 5 on the melody string, 4 on the bass string, and a 0 standing for the open middle string. Tablature is that easy. Waterbound, you can play either as an instrumental or sing along with it. But there are a couple of things I want to tell you before we begin. First of all, the strum on this tune is basically 1, 2, 3 throughout. Also, remember in Boil That Cabbage Down, you played a bass string melody and you played a middle string melody. In this tune, we'll combine the two. The first part of it has a bass string melody, and the last part of it, in part, has a middle string melody. Let's play it. Here's the count. 1, 2, ready, play. Little finger on the first fret and open. Little finger. Middle string harmony. Bass string harmony and melody only, and stop. If you look at the tablature for Soldier's Joy, you'll notice there are zeros on the bass string and the middle string. This means you're playing melody only. Now something changes here. When you're playing only the melody string on the instrument, or only melodies without any harmony, if you use all of your fingers but not your thumb, then you're going to keep from turning your hand. To involve the thumb, you have to turn your hand. So if you just play the other fingers, you get to move more smoothly and faster too. There's something else about Soldier's Joy. We're finding a repeat or 2 repeats in this. In the book, if you play the first 2 lines, you come to some dots, and that means we want you to play the first 2 lines again. And then at the very end of the tune, there are more dots. We want you to play the second 2 lines again. I'll remind you when we get to the repeats, and I'll count you in. 1, 2, ready, play. Repeat, here we go. Go on this time, 5th fret. Cripple Creek is played mainly on the melody string. There are a couple of places where you add in a little bass string harmony. And this tune has a lot of repeats. I'll talk you through them. Here's the count. You begin on the 10th fret, find it way at the top of the instrument, the small space. Here's the count. 1, 2, ready, play. Bass string, repeat. Go on, 5. Repeat. Now, before we finish with this tune, I want to tell you something. The last measure of the whole tune is the hardest one, because you've got that fast strum for the 8th notes, and your fingers are moving all over the place. So, I'd like to tell you now, on any tune that you're working on, if you take the spot that seems the hardest, and practice that by itself before you begin the whole tune, and sometimes even beginning a tune while you're learning it at the back, then then you can catch spots like that. They're a little hard, and they won't trip you up when you play the tune for real. Remember when I told you that melodies didn't have to be played on the melody string? John Brown's Dream is an example of this. The entire tune will be played on the bass string. This is a wonderful old fiddle tune. Again, it has some repeats in there, so I'll talk you through them. Go over to the bass string and still play without using your thumb because we're going to be playing a melody only, and it will be on the bass string. Find the 7th fret, and here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. Repeat, 7th fret. Down in the Valley combines, again, a bass string harmony and a middle string harmony. Here is the melody for Down in the Valley. This time we're in a waltz tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Up to this time we've been 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Here's the count. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, play. This time, I'd like to sing the melody and have you play some harmony with me. Now, one thing we're beginning to do now is play some melody where your bass string is a little bit farther to the left, and we're using now a lot more of your little finger in here. So, look at this. Notice I'm keeping my index finger steady on the 4th fret. When I'm going to the right, I'm using my thumb, and when I'm going to the left, I pick up the melody with the little finger. We'll do that in the harmony to Down in the Valley. I'll sing the melody. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, play. Down in the valley so low, hang your head over, hear the wind blow. In the book, we have 3 ways of playing Ode to Joy. The first we'll do right now. This has a bass string harmony. Set it up with your thumb on the 5th fret, your index finger on the 4th fret, and I'll count you in. 1, 2, ready, play. Oh, Susanna, again, it's a practice for a melody with a bass string harmony, and in the middle, changing to a middle string harmony. And also in some places, the melody is going to go below or to the left of where your bass string finger is. Sometimes the melody will go to the right, and so you're using your thumb and your little finger for the melody. Here we go. This time, we come in on the fourth beat. It's 1, ready, play, da-da, like that. Here we go. 1, ready, play. Up to now, we've been doing melodies and harmonies on either the bass string or the middle string, and now we're going to begin to combine them. So you can do some backup work on the dulcimer and have some 3-finger chords all together. Now again, to review, 2-finger chords, say if you have a thumb on the 5th fret, index finger on the 4th fret bass, it's a bass string harmony. Or if you have a thumb on the 5th fret and the middle string covered at the 3rd fret, then that's a middle string harmony. Let's combine the two of those. Let's put in thumb, the 5th fret, index finger at the 4th fret on the bass string, and fill in the middle string at the 3rd fret. Now you have a 3-fingered chord. You might feel as though your fingers are all stretched out of shape, but you'll get used to it. Here's the shape. And that's a pretty chord, all those tones played together. Here it is with just the bass string and with the middle string and all together. Now you can move that shape. It's kind of a triangle shape, up and down the fretboard. Some pretty chords just about everywhere you go. Now, there's another triangle shape. Like this one a lot. This one sounds good wherever you move it up and down the fretboard. Try this one. Thumb on the melody string, 3rd fret, index finger on the bass string at the 3rd fret, and your little finger, or ring finger, but my fingers are short, so I like using my little finger at the 1st fret on the middle string. Strum this. If you're interested, this is a G chord. Those of you who play guitar, you might slide the whole thing up to the 4th fret and the 2nd fret, melody at the 4th, bass string at the 4th fret, and the middle string at the 2nd fret. There's an A chord. You can move that up too and get pretty chords just about where you go. Now, here's one more. Let's stretch this one out. Go back to thumb on the 5th fret, index finger on the 4th fret, bass string, and your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the middle string. But if I want to move my thumb and my index finger up here, I've got to change my little finger again to get a stretch. So I've moved 2 of those frets. So my thumb is on the 6th, the bass string at the 5th fret, and the middle string at the 3rd fret. Notice the shape of that chord. This is another G chord. And one more shape that's very, very handy for accompanying tunes is a bar chord. And you can bar anywhere you like on the instrument. If you use 3 fingers to bar, either your little finger, ring finger, and middle finger, or your ring finger, middle finger, and index finger, but I like using little finger, ring, and middle finger, and just cover each one of the strings. The reason I like that is because my index finger is free to move around, as is my thumb. That's a bar chord. You can move it anywhere and get all kinds of interesting harmonies to go along with someone else playing the melody. Remember Ode to Joy. Now this time it's going to be fuller, almost like a hymn, because we're going to put these 3-finger chords in there, the shapes that you worked with. I'll count you in. 1, 2, ready, play. Au clair de la lune. Here we're going to use the bar chord and 2-finger chords, but remember when I was telling you with the bar chord, if you use 1 finger per string, then you can reach out with other fingers, play melodies off of the bar chord. Now, the bar chord sometimes can be played like this, some people play them like this, but if you use those 3 fingers, you can play a melody along with it, and you'll see that in this tune. I'll count you off. 1, 2, ready, play. Here's the bar chord coming up right here. Now reach out with your thumb. Slide up to 4 on the bass. Flop-eared mule combines melody playing on the melody string, bass string, and bar chords. But there's something I want to tell you. When you're sliding along in part of this tune, that the ease of the way you move your fingers is very important. And this would be a time to check the way you're holding your pick. If you're gripping it, ease up on it a bit. Let me show you a section in the middle of the tune, actually. This is measure 11 leading into measure 12. If you do a bar chord at the 1st fret, and then reach out with your thumb, to do measure 12, you lift everything except the 1st fret on the bass, and then start putting down frets. Slide up to 4, open 4, and this is the way it sounds, moving. This tune has repeats. I will talk you through them. Let's begin. Here's the count. 1, 2, ready, play. Slide. Golden Slippers is a tune that a lot of dulcimer players enjoy playing. There are some review things in here. First of all, you have this type of chord where you've got an index finger on the bass string and your little finger is picking up a note on the melody string. Also, we have a first and second ending in this tune. Now this is because it's not exactly a repeat the way we did in the tune before, Flop-Eared Mule. Each section is slightly different. So you'll play through until you get to the first ending, go back to the beginning, play all the way through to that section, jump the first ending and go directly to the second ending. And this one comes in on the fourth beat. So the count would be 1, ready, play, da, da. Here's a count. 1, ready, play. In the beginning, when you were exploring strings, I had you plucking strings. We're going to do that now and incorporate it into a tune. And in addition to just picking individual notes, we'll strum some of the chords, but without a pick, this time with your finger. There are a couple of ways to strum the chord. One would be drawing your finger toward you. Another one would be moving your thumb away. Different sounds, and both of them nice. Now, we played Ode to Joy in two different ways already. One was strumming and having basically a bass string harmony. The next time we strummed and had 3-finger chords, and it was very thick with chords, almost like a hymn. This time, it's going to lighten it up some because we're going to strum with your finger the chords and then pick individual notes along with it. Now, at first, getting your right hand fingers to pluck the strings might feel strange. If you have a thumbnail, you can get a louder sound than with the fleshy part of your finger. But this is a fun way to explore playing the dulcimer. Let's try Ode to Joy. 1, 2, ready, play. In Ode to Joy, we had some chords that you would strum and individual notes to pick. In Simple Gifts, we'll continue that, so it's practice for those two playing styles, but this time we're going to add in something else, pinching strings. In this case, if you put your thumb on the 4th fret of the melody string and your index finger on the 4th fret of your bass string, instead of strumming it, we just want the sound of 2 notes, and you just pinch the melody string and the bass string. Sounds a little open. This is Simple Gifts. 1, ready, play. Pinching right here and strumming. Amazing Grace will be easier for you to play if you think ahead and form some chords, because part of the melody is part of the chords, and this will help you move a little faster on the instrument. Also, up until now, at the end of pieces I've been playing, I stop at the end without moving, and this is the way I'd like for you to play. Oftentimes people will play da 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 to the end and then go on to the next thing. Well, the music is still there. So watch at the end of Amazing Grace. We'll wait till the sound dies away, and I hope you'll try that with your music. Now, let me show you something. Here, in the beginning of Amazing Grace, it goes, and you see how these notes are part of this chord, which is one of the shapes we studied before. So, if you form the chord and then strum the individual notes, then you don't have to move your hand so much. That's awkward, and it's going to sound awkward. So, this is Amazing Grace. It is in 3/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it comes in on the 3rd beat. So the count will be 1, play. Are you ready? 1, play. In Amazing Grace, I told you where melody notes were part of a chord. Chords and melodies work hand in hand, and so far we've spent a lot of time working on melodies and adding in 2-finger and 3-finger chords. Now we're going to work with chords by themselves, because as many songs as you know, then you can play some chords and back yourself up while you're singing or someone else is playing. For an example, here we did Down in the Valley. Now, if you look, there are many ways to play a D chord. We're playing in the key of D, and Some of the ways to play a D chord. This is just some of them. Another chord we would use in the song Down in the Valley is an A chord. So here's an A chord. That's a 2-finger chord. Add in the middle string, 4, 2, 4 for this, and even do a bar chord at the 4th fret. Now, I'd like to try Down in the Valley, singing it and backing it up just a little bit. You can play it with me. I'll tell you where the chords change. And here is a simple D chord you could play, which is open on the bass, open on the middle, 3 on the melody string. You can make it fancier if you want by following the chart in the book. And then we'll go to an A chord, and you can play 4, open 4, or 4, 2, 4 if you want it sweeter sounding. Let's do one verse of Down in the Valley. It's one breath down in the valley, down A chord, low. Hang your head over, hear the wind. Back to the D chord. Now it's hard to talk and sing at the same time to get the idea of where the chords change. But most tunes and songs use 3 chords in them. And remember, Boil That Cabbage Down. This one, it's such a simple tune, but it uses 3 chords and they change a lot. So let's try Boil That Cabbage Down. It's going to go from a D chord, you can choose any D chord you like, to a G chord. It's generally a 3-fingered chord. Back to a D chord, to an A chord, to the D, G, D, A, D. See, a simple tune have more complex chord changes, but you can make them as simple or complex as you like. Here it is. 1, 2, ready, go. G, La, D, La, A, La, D, La, 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 G, La, 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 D, A, D, and stop. One nice thing about playing chords on the dulcimer is that you can join in a jam session with people playing other instruments, and you can change keys pretty easily. Now we've been playing melodies in the key of D, tune D, A, and we were doing the chords in the key of D, but we can very easily change that to the key of G just by adding in one more chord. In the key of G, a G chord is very important. And then you have a C chord. Now this is a chord shape we've studied before, but the particular frets for this are 6 on the bass, 4 on the middle, 6 on the melody. And then the D chord, which we played while we were playing in the key of D. She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain uses these 3 chords, G to C to D. A few of them change a little fast, but we can do the tune slowly as we like. All right, would you sing with me? Chord. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Home on the Range uses the same chords, adds in one more, though with the strum. This time it's in 3. 1, 2, and 3. If you find a G chord you like, let's do the song. Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy or red. Warmer than the rain, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy or red. This tune might be a little challenge because you're going to be changing chords fast. We'll be doing minor chords, major chords, and moving them rather quickly. But when Johnny Comes Marching Home, it's in the key of E minor. When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer and the boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. Away in a Manger, the way you play that is similar to the ways you played Ode to Joy at the third time through, and Amazing Grace, and Simple Gifts, and so forth. So we'll play through the melody and then try some accompaniments that you could sing or harmonize another player. This is Away in a Manger. It's in 3/4 time, and you come in on the third beat. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, play. Not only are there different ways of playing the dulcimer, the finger style, plucking, individual notes, there's sections of the dulcimer, a low harmony and a high harmony. You can get totally different sounds by doing a lot of the same things or similar things in different sections of the dulcimer. So this is 2 ways to do Away in a Manger. The first one with a lower harmony, and the second one with a higher harmony. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, play.
Sweet head, the stars in the sky look down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay. One
play.
Away in a manger, no crib or a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay.
The ash grove uses the individual notes, the strummed chords, and some plucked notes also. It is in 3/4 time, and you come in on the third beat. So let's play. 1, 2, 3, 1, play. Repeat. One, two, three, 1, play. Arkansas Traveler goes back to melody playing on the melody string. And so I'd like for you to concentrate on keeping your playing light. This is a dancing tune. Also, there's something about the way music is written in the tablature. And if you look at the beginning of the song, the tune, you'll see that there are zeros there for the open strings on the melody and the bass. And at the end, the zeros have disappeared. Well, it just makes it a little easier to read without all the zeros and you're wondering if there is a chord in there somewhere. So that's kind of a shortened style of writing out a strummed piece. This is Arkansas Traveler. It's in 4/4 time, begins on the 4th beat. Here's the count. 1, ready, play. Because of the fret spacing on the dulcimer, as I said back in the beginning, there are some notes missing. Makes it very easy to play a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale, but sometimes if you want something else, like a minor scale, la, 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 you have to change the tuning. Now, in most of the tunings that you'll play throughout your dulcimer playing career, the D and the A, D on the bass string, A on the middle, will remain the same, and generally it's the melody string that's changed. In this case, we're going to move the melody string up to C, and I keep checking my tuning. Now, if you need a reference point for that C, it would be on the bass string at the 6th fret. So, if we're in tune, then the minor scale would begin at the 1st fret. Let me adjust that tuning a little bit. And again, skipping the 6.5 fret, the extra fret here. So your scale, and the other tunes we've been playing, have run from the 3rd fret to the 10th fret. This time it's from the 1st fret to the 8th fret. Now the minor tuning is a fun one to sit around and just play the dulcimer and pick the strings or strum the strings. So I hope that you'll play with the tuning before you try a tune. But the tune we'll use with this is a wonderful Southern Appalachian traditional tune called Shady Grove. 1, 2, ready, play. The playing techniques you'll find in Greensleeves, similar to ones you found in such tunes as Simple Gifts, with the picking of strings and strumming. But something is going to change this time. Most of the time your melody notes have been on the melody string, and sometimes we've done on the bass string. But in this tuning, and with this tune, often you'll have part of your melody falling on the middle string. Greensleeves is in 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's play it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. DAD tuning is one that a lot of dulcimer players use. It's a very versatile tuning. So you'll see when we were playing in DAA that we were moving up and down the fretboard quite a bit. to get all of the notes. Now when you tune D, A, D, you can move across the fingerboard and get a lot of notes there. But at the moment, we're still tuned D, A, C for the minor. And to go D, A, D, we have to go a little higher. Again, it's on the melody string. Most of these tunings, the bass and the middle string stay the same, and the melody string moves. As you're moving higher, move slowly. If you want to check to see that your string is going to make it, if you just kind of pull on the string a little bit, see if there's some flexibility there. If not, if it's very, very tight, it might be wise to stop before the string breaks. This is a D-A-D tuning. If you need a reference point for that tone on the melody string, you'll find it on the bass string at the 7th fret. You know, in the D-A-D tuning, you went from the 3rd fret to the 10th fret for do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. In the minor tuning, D-A-C, the scale began on the 1st fret, played a minor scale up to the 8th fret. In the D-A-D tuning, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do begins on the open string. And again, an open string is one where your left hand is down. Something changes here, though. Again, this is where the 6.5 fret comes into play. And this is the reason that the 6.5 fret was added to many dulcimers, many modern dulcimers. So listen to the scale and using the 6.5 fret. It's open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, and 7. Now, the tune we're going to work on, Going to Boston, does not use the 6.5 fret. We were thinking of you. But if you want the sound of the 6.5 fret, you can find it on the middle string at the 9th fret. So, skip to the middle string, 9th fret, and then back to your melody string, the 7th fret. So you do have the note there on the middle string. This is Going to Boston. 1, 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and. This is a dulcimer capo. So you can see it looks different from a guitar capo because obviously it cannot go under the fretboard of the instrument. So it clamps on top. I'm going to put the capo, we're still in D-A-D tuning. We're going to put the capo on at the 3rd fret. And leaning down is just pretty much the same place your fingers would go, just right next to the fret. Now, the first time you strum it, you might get twang, twang, buzz, but because I was living right today, it just fit right in. Now, we're in the key of G. Moving from the capo at the 3rd fret up to the 10th fret and skipping, again, the 6.5 fret. Now, if you put a capo on, don't even have to buy one. If you have a chopstick and a heavy rubber band, something to hold down the strings at that fret. But, as you can see, we've been retuning for this and for that. And if you find that you retune a lot, then if you get a capo, put it here, the tuning, and you'd have a nice key of G. I count the frets the same as they are. This is still the 4th fret. But now, where the capo is the open string. So in this case, it's open 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 7, and so forth. But you can change keys very readily without retuning all the time. So let's try Home on the Range with the capo at the 3rd fret of the dulcimer. 1, 2, 3, 1, play. The most common places to put the capo on the dulcimer are at the 3rd fret. You're basically in the key of G. That's the way we did on Home on the Range. On the 4th fret, when you're in the key of A, that means you need the 6.5 fret. And on the 1st fret, where we have the key of E minor. Now, tuning D-A-D and putting the capo at the 1st fret is a common placement for it. We're tuned right now to D-A-A, and to have the capo at the 1st fret. So we're going to be playing When Johnny Comes Marching Home, a minor tune with the capo at the 1st fret. It's in 6/8 time, and you enter on the 6th beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to mention the noter on the instrument, which has a long history. The noter, a stick that would move over the strings, making a nice whooshing sound as it moves over the frets. Now, obviously, with a noter, you can't play chords, or really do, well, you could hop over to the bass string and play some things there. So, the tunes we've been playing have been with fingers instead of a noter. But what we're trying to do is still get the sound, the whooshing sound of fingers passing over frets, because that's part of the sound of the dulcimer. And I suggest if you play with a noter or have played with a noter, that you try to achieve that same sound with your fingers. Now, moving on to Harvest Home, we're going to do a bit of that, but without the noter and sliding around on fingers, we will get that whooshing sound on the bass string as fingers slide over the frets. Harvest Home is a hornpipe, and it has this da-da-da-da-da-da-da feel to it. And it's usually written just the way you see in the book. Now this is a strummed version of it. And 1, 2, ready, play. Hammer-ons and pull-offs help you get around the instrument a little quicker. Your left hand is doing some motions while your right hand is not doing much of anything with hammer-ons and pull-offs. Here's how they work. Take your ring finger and put it on the melody string at the 2nd fret and pluck the string. Then take your middle finger, bump it down, just bump it down on the 3rd fret, and your index finger on the 4th fret. Those are hammer-ons. The sound, the right hand's not doing anything except plucking the first note. The pull-offs work the opposite way. You pull them off, and then if I pull off this one, I'll be back to the open string. So here's. I just plucked the note once with the right hand. Let me try that on the bass string. So obviously you will be building fingers, and whenever you pull off a finger, that's the note you're going to get. So presumably it's the one you want for a tune. Country Gardens uses hammer-ons and pull-offs for the tune. It's tuned D, A, 4/4 time. 1, 2, ready, play. Repeat. In Aloha Rose, we'll put some things together that we've worked on. Plucked strings, 3-note chords, and some hammer-ons, slides, walking strings. But one extra thing we're going to put in the song is a nice way to end it. This is a harmonic. People enjoy putting harmonics into the music. And the 7th fret is a good place to find a lovely harmonic. Here's the sound. Sounds like a bell. Now the way you sound a harmonic is to put your finger lightly on the string on top of the fret. I've talked, you play to the side of the fret when you're playing the dulcimer, but the harmonics are on top of the fret and lightly touched, and the string is plucked. Try some with me. The 7th fret. At the end of Aloha Rose, we'll put in a harmonic here. One, ready, play. DAD and DAA are two very common tunings on the dulcimer. And it's thought if one person is tuned DAA, the other is tuned DAD, can't play together, but that's not true. Aloha Rose, the melody, was in DAA. This harmony is in DAD. 1, 2, 3.
From tender stem has sprung of Jesse's lineage coming, as man of old has sung. It came a floweret bright amid the cold of winter, when half spent was the night.
I've enjoyed playing music with you and look forward to meeting you at a festival someday. For information about Mel Bay books and videos, the number is 1-800-8-MEL-BAY. Let me leave you with the tune, Going to Boston.